chaos here in Hollywood and the aftermath of the Emmys last night. And before we go any further, I want to congratulate my co-workers. Last night, our show won the Emmy for Outstanding Achievement in Variety Comedy, Talk Comedy, Variety Series, or Show. So, what's that? We didn't? I made that category up? Well, thank you guys for believing in us anyway. That is an Emmy in and of itself. You know, last year I hosted the Emmys, and this year I watched them at home from, you can see, well, Trevor and Stephen were there. I was at home in a bouncy castle. It's funny. People keep giving me, like, kind of condolences because I didn't host this year. They're like, they are like sad I wasn't asked. And I have to explain. I go through the whole thing. The Emmys rotate. So this year they're on CBS, and then next year NBC, and then Fox, and then back. And the only time I would host is when the show's on ABC because I'm on ABC. But they never seemed convinced. And so I was like, okay, well, you're doing good. You're good. You know, I had a little gathering of our producers at my house last night to watch the show. Did you have fun, Guillermo? No, Guillermo didn't have fun because...
I didn't watch the Emmys.
You didn't watch the Emmys. No. Yes, I know. You didn't come to my house either. You RSVP'd, yes, I'm coming. And yet, suddenly we see him at the Chargers-Cowboys game.
But, Jimmy...
No one... Yes, Guillermo.
I'm sorry, Jimmy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to Aaron, Jen, and Molly. But... it was worth it.
Yeah, it was worth it. Okay, good. Well, we'll see about that. No one says he's going to come and then doesn't show up to more parties, dinners, you name it, than Guillermo. Your Cowboys won, though, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, all right. Well, good. Well, we didn't. We lost, by the way.
Oh, next year.
Yeah. Oh, no, next year you're... we're sending you to Guam next year.
All right, I'll go to Guam.
What a show. They opened with Rita Wilson rapping, and somehow it got even wider from there. Last year, the Canadians came in and won it all. This year, it was the English. It was a Blitzkrieg this year. More than half the Emmys went to dare I even say, un-Americans. Even Ted Lasso had to move to London to win an Emmy this year. But I thought this was interesting. Gillian Anderson, who's not from England. She's born in Chicago, but she grew up in England. She lives there now. She won Best Actress in a Drama for, she plays Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher in The Crown, which created an opportunity for one of the great dopey American interview questions of all time to happen backstage.
Just to kind of continue with the whole Margaret Thatcher thing, first question, have you talked to her about this role at all?
Well, I have not spoken to Margaret.
Yes. Yes, the reason that she hasn't because Margaret Thatcher died in 2013. But it would have made a great episode of The X-Files if she had spoken to her somehow. The other big winners this weekend were the passengers aboard the first ever all-civilian SpaceX flight. After 3 days in space, they made it safely back to Earth. During their weekend outside the atmosphere, the crew passed the time talking, watching movies. They watched the movie Spaceballs, for real, from the ship. And one guy brought his ukulele along to play music, which it went over about as well as you might guess it would. Look at this. Yeah, she's like, okay, I'm in space with a guy who plays the friggin' ukulele. Back home on Earth, the government has begun to issue guidelines on these vaccine booster shots, the third shot. An FDA panel recommends COVID booster shots only for those who are at most at risk. Older Americans, the immunocompromised, and anyone who lives in Florida. And at the other end of the abacus, Pfizer today announced that they say their vaccine is safe for kids aged 5 to 11. According to a Pfizer board member, a vaccine for those children could be available by the end of October. Well, I know what I'll be handing out for Halloween. A fun-sized Pfizer, you know? Many Americans are still resisting the vaccine in favor of the paste they use to deworm horses. You know, so much so that horse owners are having trouble finding it, and even when they do, the increased demand has jacked the price way up. One feed store in Las Vegas had to post this sign: ivermectin will be only sold to horse owners. Must show pic of you and your horse. Preferably on Tinder. Can you imagine You won't go to Walgreens to get a free vaccine. You'll spend 4 hours photoshopping your body onto a Clydesdale to get ivermectin. I think they should make people ride their horses to the store to prove they... And of course, you know who's loving this the most. The worms, the horse worms. They're like, Artie, let's get all up in this for a change. It's only a matter of time until the horses fight back and start taking our Lunesta. But for those who cannot get their hands on the horsey sauce, the anti-vax crowd has been turning to monoclonal antibody treatment. This is an IV hookup that helps to reduce the symptoms of COVID. It's pretty incredible people who don't trust vaccines do trust being pumped full of lab-created antibodies. This is like skydiving, and instead of using the parachute you're giving, you're like, yeah, I'll just crash near a hospital. But there are a lot of great thinkers out there lately. This is from a school board meeting in Austin, Texas, where one mom spoke very passionately about a sexually explicit book her middle school child found in the library.
All right, not gonna lie, I had to Google cornhole because I have the game in the back of my yard. But according to Wikipedia, cornhole is a sexualist slang vulgarism for anus. The term came into the use in the 1910s in the United States as verb form to cornhole, which came into usage in the 1930s, means to have anal sex. I do not want my children to learn about anal sex in middle school. I've never had anal sex. I don't want to have anal sex. I don't want my kids having anal sex. I want you to start focusing on education and not public health.
Ma, can we go home now? Maybe drop us off at Grandma's tonight. Hi, I'm Jimmy Kimmel, and this is The Internet. I made it myself. Hit subscribe if you like it.